Hey everyone, and welcome to the IT On Call podcast. I'm your host, Ross to the Rescue Feldman. My company is Better Call IT. If business technology is your headache, then consider Better Call IT your Advil. Today I'm on with Erik Jensen of BrichsAaron Process Improvement. How you doing today, Erik?
I'm doing great, Ross. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. It's been a progressive week. It doesn't feel like Wednesday, but it is. And it's going to keep on going, which I always love it. Keep on going.
They
When we
always
were
do.
when we were going back and forth discussing the episode of this podcast, I love that we leveraged AI and we discussed it like humans do, and we ended up with the name Unlocking Efficiencies.
Yes.
What efficiencies are we unlocking today?
We are unlocking efficiencies for business processes, business workflows, efficiencies for small business owners that may need assistance with just being more efficient in their day to day. That could be a manufacturing process. That can also just be a IT workflow process. There's any number of things that we can do as individuals just to be more efficient in general. Part of process excellence is about having a mindset of constant improvement. So, part of what I do is try to give that mindset to small business owners to always look for ways to improve and constantly improve their processes so that they can concentrate more time on either facilitating better customer relationships or more time on just whatever they want. It depends on what they want to do with their time. That's our most valuable commodity. So I'm here to try and unlock ways to give people more of that.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, we don't get more time in the day. We can't buy more time. We can't manufacture more time, and that is just, that minute that went by. Did you get that thing done? And we always are trying to get so many things done in a day. And as small business owners, we wear a lot of hats, and there's
Yep.
a lot to be done. And we are technician, manager, and owner all in one. If we're a small business of one or only a few individuals. There's definitely a lot to be learned about that. Tell us more.
I'll tell you more. Well, just briefly, more about BrichsAaron Process Improvement and what we do. One of our big things is documentation. If you're familiar with process excellence and process improvement firms and everything, there are firms out there that cost like $20,000, $30,000 like an hour to assist giant companies with their processes and to train um, companies to have process excellence, green belts, black belts within their companies to manage their process in the future. Small businesses don't have that. They don't have the money for that. It's just not something that's practical. Uh, Businesses that are franchises typically already have all of the SOPs and documentation available so that business owners can consume that. But people that aren't don't own a franchise don't have that. So that's where my business comes in to try and assist the documentation, making process diagrams, so visualizing your process with a process map showing you each step of your process in each place where you have a decision point or a possible bottleneck or anything of that sort. Um, Process charts, process maps, a lot of those are the same thing mostly, but they visualize the information in a slightly different way. SOPs are a big thing. Nobody has time to create their own SOPs. Um, even giant companies that have very mature IT departments, for some reason, they don't have mature SOPs and need people to come in and create those. User FAQs. I don't really know a really great way to define this, but it's pretty much think like you are a business, so people are business owners. They have a process or they have a service that they provide for a customer. And within that process, there is a workflow where they're going to provide information to the customer, and the customer is going to be expected to provide information back. So the customer facts would be a visual representation of what that flow is. So the I will do my due diligence and then provide you my estimate, and then it's expected that you will review the estimate and provide feedback. So that sort of thing. So the customer has a visualization of what's expected of them and when. Um, that's just something to kind of help ease how a business owner can explain to a customer how they would provide a service. Software and workflow keyboard shortcut guides, keyboard shortcuts and software shortcuts, and understanding process flow in any sort of software is important to maximizing your time. Um, it may not seem like much, but keeping your hand off the mouse and completing an entire form of like 30 odd um, inputs, if you're not having to touch your mouse on each thing and just tabbing each change, you're saving almost 30 seconds per process. And if you have to do that over hours of a day, that can add up. Improvement ideation. So this is when we will review the process diagrams and see where your possible bottlenecks are and provide ideas on where you can have improvement and what can be done to improve that. Implementation and training. So obviously, if there's any sort of changes or implementation that needs to be done, I'll come in and help with that and help train the users with that. Well, hello. My manager has just arrived. I apologize. Excuse me. You stay there. Hopefully that makes sense. In general, it's a lot to kind of digest of what we do, how we do it, and this is the main philosophy of process excellence is Gemba. Gemba is a Japanese word meaning real place, so referring to the place where the location that the work is done. So it's really difficult to map out a process if you can't observe it and understand who is doing it, how, and when. So the observation process is exceptionally important for me to provide the best possible information to clients.
And that's the thing is, I absolutely love Gemba. I think Gemba cannot be replaced by AI. I feel like it's a human process. And when you're talking earlier about forms and form efficiencies, I have multi-factor authentication turned on with PayPal. So every time I log into PayPal, I have to put in my two-factor code. And I like to hit enter after I put my code in. And enter doesn't move the button forward. And it drives me mad. And it adds time to my day.
You had to hit tab.
Tab and enter. That's two
you
steps.
Have to hit tab. You have to hit tab, then enter. You have to make sure it's on the login or the complete or submit or whatever that key is, and then hit enter and it'll work. But yeah, tab is very useful. But you hit something very important with Gemba and with the documentation. Pretty much anyone can do documentation themselves. Just like anyone can mow their own lawn if they want, but a professional might do it better. Also, you can create SOPs with AI, but there's always going to be mistakes. There's always going to be something that's slightly off with it. So no matter what, you're still going to need a human to review anything that's AI generated. And while I'm definitely a strong proponent for AI, and it definitely helps with an efficient workplace and efficient brainstorming, getting things done fast, there's no replacing the human touch. And something I'm a really strong proponent for, and something I say, efficiency is not about cutting workforce or cutting jobs. Efficiency is about maximizing time and about utilizing time for the most valuable activities. So if you're able to automate something, then you're able to repurpose an employee for a different activity that can add value elsewhere. There are many CEOs and wealthy people that seem to think that just cutting jobs makes things efficient, but it doesn't. It actually, in contrast, makes things usually inefficient because you're then forcing less people to do more work, which in turn can cause higher stress for your employees, can lead to higher rates of errors, which in the workplace you don't necessarily want, especially if you're in manufacturing. You definitely don't want errors and issues in manufacturing. So yeah, so Gemba is very important, and you got to just keep the human in the work. It's important. AI is a very great tool, uh, but you can't become over reliant on it.
No, and I think about Star Trek, that everyone on the ship is trained to work with the computer, the AI, and it's
Hmm.
an aid, but it doesn't replace the fact the ship is full of humans. Still
Yes,
need all those humans to get things done. Still need the
exactly.
legs.
And the humans still have to input all of the information in the computer. Like they might ask the computer to analyze how long it would take for this missile or for the proton torpedo to um, let's see here, Wrath of Khan to intercept the modularized shield and go through it. And the computer will figure it out for you, but then you still have to input it into the targeting system and make it happen. The computer doesn't do that for you in Star Trek.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think that the interface of humans and technology is super important, and I think processes, we come up with our own processes in our heads, and it sometimes takes that third party to come in and say, you missed a lot of efficiencies just because it was the process that came out of my head. It seemed to make sense at the time. I remember very early on in my support career, I had someone who needed a PDF saved, and they printed it, and they went over to the copier and they scanned it and they emailed it to themselves.
Wow.
And I saved them 4 hours a week by showing them there's a little disk icon at the top of that PDF that allows them to save it. So
Yeah.
Efficiencies are a thing.
Yes, very much so. Yep. And it's simple things, very, very simple things like that. But I mean, IT is very important to efficiencies as well. There are lots of softwares, uh, workflow software, CRMs, HR resources, like Salesforce, many databases and things that are out there, uh, different accounting softwares. It gets overwhelming
Mhm.
and it can get expensive. But there are free things, free softwares out there, or very cheap softwares out there that can do the same activities for people at lesser price. So part of my services is also kind of reviewing those and recommending what's best for their budget. And if there is completely free, trying to teach them on the free software.
Yeah. And
So
that's the thing is like,
there's any number of softwares out there that can be used to assist with um, workflows, customer relation management, um, it's anything really.
I deal a lot with the softwares.
Yeah,
we have them all in IT.
I know you do. You're inundated with the softwares.
There's so many softwares that are out there. So many softwares as a service. So many businesses that just they accumulate software like junk on a shelf, and it's there might be too much. There might be overlap, and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
So Gemba, process efficiency. What else can we learn about today?
Um, I mean, that's about all that's in my presentation,
Okay.
except for contacting me information. But so I spoke earlier about how within process excellence, there is the idea of Kaizen, which is constant improvement. So process is always in a cycle. You always review, improve, implement, review, improve, implement, and it's just over and over. So it, it it's just a point to bring up that in our businesses, in our processes, nothing's ever finite, nothing's ever etched in stone. We always should be reviewing them and looking at them and seeing if there's ways to improve. There's always new softwares coming out, um, new technology. I mean, AI is brilliant. Mittens, again, stay. Um, there's any number of things that we can do to always improve. And I mean, it's a philosophy that you can also use in life and not just in business. Always look for ways to improve.
Continuous
Yeah,
improvement, continuous improvement, CI, is something we do in software that should be done in life. That,
yes,
we all get 1% better every day. It only takes 100 days to get better to
yep,
100%.
yep,
So, there's 365 days in those years. And,
yep.
you and I, with 1 day a week, we become 3 days a week, becomes 5 days a week. It grows from there. When it comes to process improvement, how do people apply that in their day-to-day lives? What are some tips and tricks, some shortcuts that people can be able to do to be able to improve their day-to-day?
Um, in past podcasts, some things have come up. I can't remember which one it was. Actually, it's probably about two that I've seen you do now, where you talked about email zero or zero,
Inbox zero, yeah.
inbox zero. That's a quick and easy way. And I mean, on your phones, if you have your emails on your phones, there are ways where you can just easily, we'll do a visual. You can just easily select everything and just run your finger down. And as you're running your finger down, read. Because I mean, most of my shit's garbage. Excuse me. Most of my stuff is garbage. So um, I can pretty much see what I need to keep and what I don't just from the subject, and you trash it, and then I'm
Cool.
at zero already.
Cool.
That's an easy thing. Planning is important. Um, a good example for everyday life: if you're shopping, if you're going to the same place all the time and you know the layout of the store, write your list in the layout of the store.
I
Um,
like that.
group group your foods in your cart, and the and like areas. So like all your cheese and your milk and dairy, put it all together. All your frozen, put it all together in the cart. All your big box, put it together in the cart. And then when you load it on the belt, you load it on the belt. That way it's easier for the cashiers and everyone to pack it up, or you pack it up yourself at the end. So it saves, maybe 5-10 minutes on your shopping visit.
Well, that
Um,
makes
and
perfect sense. Instead of throwing it randomly into the cart, you put it on with the milks and cheese together, and they go down the belt and they get bagged together, so that when you go to unpack when you get home, that makes perfect sense. I never even thought about
exactly,
that.
exactly. And there's so much in life that you can do. Everything's about planning. It's about understanding what your goal is, and understanding what you need to do, and then understanding what your final goal is and how do you get to that goal. And it's the same thing in business and in processes and manufacturing. You want to know, what is my product and how do I make my product? And then so your process is from A to Z. How do we create this product? And the same thing goes with services. How do I provide the service? What is my service? And what steps do I take in providing that service to my customers?
Cool.
And
Uh,
and
I,
and that's where the SOPs come in. When you have it documented and you have your SOPs documented, you have all your processes there in paper. So you can tell any new employees how to do it. You can train your customers on what it is. Um, you have it on paper so you can constantly improve it yourself. It, it's there. Our brains are, as much as our brains can hold, they also can slip stuff and forget stuff. And it's not the most efficient place to maintain data
this is so true,
unless
and
you're one of those
yes,
geniuses that just have an endemic memory.
yeah, the steel trap. Yeah, I'm familiar with that one. The
Yeah.
the learning every day is very important. The getting the skill sets, the writing it down. I love the only thing I love about writing things down is scratching it off my to-do list. That's
Yes.
the I
You
go
can
through the
actually
pain and
physically
torture of
scratch it
writing
off.
things down just so I can scratch them off. And then I did something and it wasn't on my to-do list. I write it on my to-do list and then I scratch it off my to-do list to make it feel good about it. So
Yeah. So within my business, I like to work with a tablet that I can write on, so that I then have it's written on my tablet, and then I can either take that tablet and type it somewhere else so that it helps me retain the knowledge. So I'm writing it down twice. But also the advantage of having it on the tablet is you can then have that tablet just save it on any of your other devices. So when you get back to your laptop or computer, you can pull up your notes. And it's very efficient and it's easy. And I like that. I like that idea of still being able to write down the note. It helps me. Some people like to be able to type, but I find writing is faster for me.
Absolutely. The the memory of writing things down is really powerful as well.
Yeah.
What other in conclusion, I mean, it's definitely process improvement is part of life, and it's part of business. What other tips and tricks and information do you want to make sure you get across to the audience, especially about your business and how to contact you and how to get started with process improvement?
Can we go back to the presentation?
Yeah, coming up.
Okay. So, I mean, it's easy to contact me. I'm Erik Jensen, owner of BrichsAaron Process Improvement and Documentation. My phone number is 336-263-1566. It's best to leave a voicemail. Like most people, I get 6,000 spam calls a day. So a lot of, if it's an unknown number, it goes directly to voicemail. So leave a voicemail. I will get back to you as soon as possible, which is typically very quickly. The best method to contact me is email, and that's erik.jensen, Jensen, at BrichsAaron.com. BrichsAaron is BrichsAaron.com. My website is BrichsAaron.com. It has a contact form on it where you can provide information about your industry, about your company, and just give me a little bit of information so that I can have a general idea of what you're looking for. And that sends an email to me, and then I can contact you through that. So those are the main ways that I can be contacted.
Awesome.
And I would just say there's a lot people can do on their own. Look up keyboard shortcuts, write them down, or if you want, you can even just go and you can look up online and get keyboard shortcut mouse pads that have all your keyboard shortcuts. One of the things I would probably offer to my customers is that if they have particular processes that they have that their employees will be doing every day, I would want to make like a desk mouse pad that has all of their keyboard shortcuts and their process on there so that their employees can just see exactly what they need to do each step right in front of them, and they don't have to like hunt something down. Yeah, that's my main tip. Keyboard shortcuts. I seem to think that a brilliant person had a post about keyboard shortcuts just a couple days ago.
I just did it on Tuesday. That was my tech tip. So if you're looking for Better Call IT tech tips, check out all of us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now known as X, Blue Sky, YouTube. We're everywhere. Well, Erik, thank you so much for your Erik. Thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure. Learned a lot. Definitely going to take some new process and efficiencies away from this call. And thank you, everybody in the audience, for watching. Have a great one.
Thank you, Ross. Very much appreciate it.